sometimes like groups will have a song that you love, and you're like, why did they never play that live? And then I like think about it. I'm like, is it because it's hard?
What's up, everybody? Keefy from Ghost Call here with Frank Albanese of Hath. How are you, my friend?
I am doing great today and as of now. How are you
Fantastic.
doing?
All things considering, I'm pretty good. We last saw each other at the Napalm Records holiday party
Feels like a
two,
million years ago.
3 years ago. 3 years ago. I think 3 years ago or 2 years ago. I don't know. Holy shit. What a mess. But we were then talking about your EP that was out at the time, which I was very high on and very thrilled about for you. You've been working on your music career for a long time across several bands, but Hath is your baby. And we've got this new record coming out that I'm so stoked to talk to you about. All that was promised coming out soon on Willowtip, very fine people at Willowtip Records. Literally all bangers. I know
Yeah.
there are people who are fans of record labels, like anything that was a time, like anything that comes out on Relapse, it's gotta be awesome, right? Because they had all of the great bands, right? And Willowtip, I always feel is like a band, they've been a label, they've been remarkably consistent. Their
Oh,
whole
yeah. Like I love every band that they have on there. Like every album that comes out, I'm like, fuck.
right on, right? It's like, oh man, I'm on this label.
Oh, this one's sick too. Great, awesome.
You're in good company. You're in good company. But let's before we unpack this record, because I have so many questions and things I want to talk to you about. Obviously this last couple of years has been a wreck. I'm sure you would have gotten out on the road and toured more if you could have. We all would have been out to more shows. But so what, if any, what effect did this last couple of years have on this release, at least in how it was, written, recorded, etc., if any?
Well, honestly, it probably pushed everything back a bit, but not now. I know that there's a lot of groups who like wrote stuff and they were holding on to it, hoping that, I don't know, COVID would just go away and they would be like, all right, now we can drop the album tour and stuff. But no, what happened with us was we had a tour booked for 2020 and we planned to do a lot more stuff, and all that got canceled. So in the free time, we actually just wrote more faster. So I guess the album got done a lot quicker than planned. But then what happened was when everything started to quote unquote go back to normal, yeah, go back to normal. AJ, our drummer, he records us, right? And clients just started pouring in to him, and he was like, I wanted to track our stuff like in the fall of 2020. And it was like, I don't have time for another like 3 or 4 months at least. And so it ended up pushing things back just because he was so busy with like work. Um, so yeah, I don't know if it actually sped things up or slowed it down, because in the end it kind of evened out.
Right on. And congrats to AJ. It's a good problem to have too much work
Yeah,
when so
happy
many
for
people
him.
were out of work, especially in the music business. And a lot of people were trying to record themselves at home, and that was a big thing. And upgrade their gear, and well, it better get to work.
Hmm.
Woodshed this shit, because I don't know what's going to happen, but it's a pleasant problem to have and a good one. And AJ, has recorded some awesome stuff. He'd be worth an interview by himself for me,
Oh yeah.
to talk to him. I was a fan of his in Cognitive. It's like the 6 degrees of Jersey metal separation game when we
Honestly,
talk.
yeah.
Like, and your band too has been, you guys, I think some of you played together in some previous groups, that I sort of am aware of. So like, yeah, it's wild. But let's just take it back to like Frank comic book episode, issue number 1, turn to first page, got like the ad on the inside cover, and then it's like the story of Frank. How did you get started in music? How did you play in your first bands? And then how did that lead you to Have today?
Let's see. I'm gonna try and give like a quick version of this. Family friend taught me a song on the guitar when I was like, I don't know, 9 or 10. Then I got a guitar. I just goofed around with it, and then around 13 or 14, I was somehow into bass, and I was like, I'm gonna play bass now. And I got a bass for Christmas for about $100. Love that thing. Played it a ton. And then some friends of mine were gonna start a band when we were 15, and I didn't have a guitar, and they were like, you should play guitar instead. And I was like, I don't have one. So a friend just lent me theirs. They're like cheap one. And I basically kept it for like 6 months. And then I want to say the first songs we learned as a band were like Feel Like Making Love and then Skulls. So like the songs get a little like harder, but no, it started out just easy stuff, and then slowly it was like, all right, now that we know how to play our instruments, let's play some metal. And then just slowly just like playing through high school bands. You run into a lot of people who have the same interests, and slowly you find the right people who want to play the same stuff as you. That's how I like finally like I met AJ through school, but he played in a band, who played on a show with a band that I was in. So I was like, I know he's good. And then eventually I was like, he should just join our band. And slowly you form this group that is exactly what you wanted all along. And then you're like, man, I can't believe it turned into this.
Right. That does happen. That is usually that kind of does happen. And then you sing also, so you're vocalist also, which is like, the way you play to the level of your, impressive ability, and to also do vocals is hard. I think it's hard. I was in many bands and not great, and sang and played bass, and it's hard, man. It's really hard. So like, how did you get your chops up to be able to do both, convincingly for yourself?
Man, honestly, it was scary. So like back when we were playing in a band when I was like 18 or 19, so what, like 14, 15 years ago, I wanted to do vocals, but I was playing the guitar, and there was a couple times where like we tried to do things where like I would do like just the chorus or like one part, and we tried it at practice, and I was like, this sucks and is really hard. So I just kind of gave up on it. But over time, it was something that I wanted to do, but the stuff we were playing at the time was just too complicated and complex. I was like, I can't start with this. And then with Hath, what happened was this was just going to be like a studio thing. It was just for fun. So I went and I did I tracked the screams and stuff, and I was not expecting to ever have to play it. And then once the label picked us up and we started talking about like shows and touring, it was like, oh crap, I gotta actually do it now. Like I've just been screaming in my car for like years, and eventually I was like, I think it sounds all right. And then one brave day I was like, guys, I'm gonna track the vocals, and we all were like shocked. We're like, oh my god, it actually sounds good. Cool, awesome. But yeah, so we were practicing for shows finally in late 2018 was our first one. And I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go. And thankfully it was really hard for a few weeks. Like I was nervous, but after a couple practices, it really wasn't as bad as I expected. It's like that first hurdle is super tough. Like the first couple times you try it, but then once you can play the song like with your hands, like fairly well, you just kind of you just kind of do it robotically. And then the screaming is the part that you focus on more. At least for me, that's how it is. But it's just a lot of practice. That's like all it is.
Right on. And then you and Greg trade off, which is pretty killer. It's good to have another person who can also scream in the band. It kind of reminds me of a lot of the early Fetus material, Dying Fetus, like that kind of, not quite a call and response, but like a very cool complementary thing.
Yeah, I'm thankful that he can sing high stuff too, because I can't.
There it is. I appreciate your candor, man. It's hard.
Mhm.
It's tough. It's tough out there. And I love there's an early interview with the Mastodon guys where it's like, we just couldn't find a singer. So we were like, well, we'll have to do it ourselves, whether it sucks or not. And somehow they're one of the biggest bands now. And like they have whole records that are built around vocals, and their drummer is now one of the best singers in the world. And it just happened
Honestly,
by
yeah.
accident. Like they didn't even know that was never going to happen. He just started to sing more.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like sometimes you just gotta, grit your teeth and do it.
Right on. So in terms of like I'm always cognizant of technical death metal is like such a favorite genre of mine. I followed it for so long, and I don't know if you would just black and death metal, technical death metal, black and tech death. I don't, but like I don't know what you would put yourself under an umbrella, but to me it's just that good old death metal. And there's a lot of bands that do like riff sap, right? Which if you can play, you can just shred nonstop. And, I'm no disrespect to any of those bands, but I like bands that take you kind of on a journey. And what I think the step up from the last release to this one is a lot more thoughtful. I think there's a lot of really deep composing. There's a lot of really, I think you guys took some care about dynamics. I think you took some care about just making the songs much more different. Like there's no repeats here. There's no songs that even sound a little alike. They're all have their own little world, which is great because you don't hear a lot of bands able to do that anymore.
I'm very glad that you said all that stuff because that's exactly what I was hoping for. Like that's like you said keywords that I used. Like I'm glad that you said journey because in our chats, like I can show you, I would say like this song goes on a journey from start to end. Like it's not like verse, chorus, bridge. And there's nothing wrong with that. We have songs that do that. But I personally, I like songs that grow and like develop into kind of a climax. So like it feels like they musically tell a story without you even including the words yet. Like just I like a musical journey. That's what I love. I love that each song kind of has its own feel and vibe and occupies its own space in the album, but they still sound like the same band. Like that was one thing that I just really wanted to do with this album, and we talked about it a lot. That's how we chose tracks was like, does this one sound too much like this other one? Is this one as good as these rest? Like, do they sound like they're even coming from the same band? Because like we pulled from a large pool of tracks. Like we had like 23 that we trimmed down to 12 or 13, and we trimmed that down to 9. But yeah, all the stuff that you said was taken into account. So like I'm really happy that you heard all that and took it that way.
Well,
That's
thanks.
cool.
That's what I listen to music all the time. And was in my notes. It was like every song's got its own little world, and there definitely no two riffs alike. You still sound like you. It still sounds like Hath, which is great. You want to have an identity. You don't, I've been in bands that were so random. It was kind of like before Mr. Bungle random, and it was too random for people. They just were like, I don't know what the shit this is. I can't watch a whole show with this. But if you heard the record, it would make more sense. But like, you can't make people, hey, chill for a second and listen to the record
Play the whole album.
we heard it. Yeah, we'll play the whole album. I mean, I've done that too because we're punishers, and that's what people's like. Stand there like you, and they're like, all right, well now you're gonna hear 10 songs of this shit. Awesome. Punish them. But yeah, man, there's a bunch of killer tracks on here. A Million Violations, obviously Kenosis, people know from the video. Death Complex, Casting the Self. Do you have any favorites so far that you're looking forward to maybe playing live? Because I did a lot of these.
I'm really looking forward to playing Kenosis and Lithopedic live because I think they're very energetic like the whole way through, and live that's awesome. I want people to be excited. I want people to be hyped because that's how I feel up there. Like I want energy in the room. Eosis is another one that I'm excited for people to hear because we think it's very different for us. So I'm just curious what people will think about it. I don't know about playing it live because it's very hard to play.
And there it is. Sometimes these things are, you make something that you go out of your own body to make a thing. You reach above your own level and advance the band, and it's like, I can't do this. Like, you ever think of like some of our heroes? Like, you ever think of like Chuck was like, man, this is really hard. Why did I do this?
I do. Because like sometimes like groups will have a song that you love and you're like, why did they never play that live? And then I like think about it. I'm like, is it because it's hard? Is it because it's really hard?
Right on.
Like some of them have to be really.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. And you shouldn't hold yourself back either at the same time and be like, I'm gonna not make something too hard to play. I know there are bands that like regret some of their albums are just, preposterous. I talked to some of the BT Bam guys and they're like, dude, like, I don't know why I did this. This is retarded. I don't know what I'm doing. Why I did this. But
all the tempos. Oh my God.
Right, different bands, and I know you're a fan of music in general besides just you being an artist and musician. So of course, like, you talked a little bit about your story about how you got started. Who were some of the death metal guitarists or just bands that turned you on and made you want to kind of keep going down this road where you are today?
The first one I'm going to say is not really death metal, but Jeff Loomis, obviously. But then in that realm, Carl Sanders, absolutely. Dude rips. Band rips. They're like my favorite. Those are the big ones. Arsis, basically everyone who they bring into the band, and James, like obviously, but like those three were the big ones early on, definitely for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I love some artists. I kind of miss that band. They're not doing.
Me too.
I kid like putting a release out sporadically. He's one of my favorite artists out there. Just no filler, all killer. Everything
Yeah,
he's
their
ever done.
songs were untouchable, man.
Kind of, yeah. Even the cover, they did the sunglasses at night cover. I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. I was like, only this band could make a death metal cover of Corey Hart sunglasses at night from the 80s. Unbelievable. Unreal. But yeah, man, you hear some of those things, and obviously I'm sure the other guys would chime in on their influences. And like I mentioned, that kind of 6 degrees of Jersey metal, do you ever feel like Hath has to be its own separate thing apart, or do you feel like an homage or a lineage sometimes to some of those? There's been so many bands that have come through your hood.
I honestly don't think there is, and it's not intentional. It's not like we don't appreciate what came before and stuff. It's just we feel like we came up in an area or like a particular time where some of those bands were either done or had moved on. So like we didn't really feel connected to any of them, if that makes sense. Like they just feel like, oh, they're also from New Jersey, but we don't feel any connection to them. And any groups who we've come to like link up with and stuff has been through, it almost feels like coincidence. Like we play a show with them and it's like, oh, you're also from New Jersey. That's cool, you know? But I don't know if there's really like a lineage or anything.
It's hard to have a scene. Jersey is very spread out.
Yeah, it's north and south, and honestly there's not a ton of venues for death metal that I know of these days. I mean, there was for a few years, but not
Yeah.
while Half
It'd
has
be
been playing.
Philly. It'd be Philly. You'd have to get down to Philly or over up to New York or,
Exactly.
somewhere else, Mass. I don't know. But yeah, man, I always think about that. I'm an East Coast guy originally, so that's always on my mind. And I think about like little burgs and scenes and where clusters of bands come from and why are they all geniuses? This Jersey always had
Yeah,
these
right.
like math metal brain surgeons who just like kill on whatever instrument they play, not just that I'm whittling air guitaring as always, but obviously anything. You have some of the best people ever coming from the Garden State. So hails, not just about sopranos, and whatever stereotypes people have, Jersey Shore.
I think that's it. It's just those three things.
Yeah. I'll never forgive Sopranos for that last scene. We're gonna talk about that another time. I do want to shout out this incredible Adam Burke artwork. Oh my goodness. There's so many good artworks in the world and there's so many great artists and so many great, creators in the scene and legends, but like this thing took my breath away. And I don't say that a lot. That's not ear service to you. That this thing is nuts.
I agree. Adam, I feel like he's blowing up. I don't know what his business was like before the last 2 or 3 years, but I feel like I see album art by him like every other day now, and that's great because we love his stuff. Like for our debut album, we bought a piece from him that he had pre-done, and we loved that one, so we like kept an eye on him, and there were several pieces that I thought were going to be really good for us to use, but then every time that I would bring it up, someone else would snatch it up. I was like, man, son of a gun. So eventually we just contacted him and we said like, hey, can you make something for us for this album? And he was like, yeah, sure. And we just told him like, the album kind of sounds like this. The themes are this. These colors are the ones that we think are evoked from the music, like blah, blah, blah. And he nailed it. He drew us a sketch and it was great. And then I think he gave us like a draft that was like mostly done. And we're like, yeah, that's great. Just this one thing and it's perfect. And what you see is that he nailed it. I love it.
Insane. There's a couple little details. There's like figure in the skull eyeball. I can't stop looking at it. It's like,
Yeah,
and he's just like, like,
that
this is
was
horrible.
Adam's idea. I was like, you know, yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm in a skull. I'm just sitting here. It's insane, dude.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
great.
I can't stop. It's just like my eyes go to it. It's nuts. And I have it like on the big screen behind our screen. So things no one at home can see. Anyway, yeah, man. So killer. Obviously we're not quite, the world is insane as we
Mhm.
talk today. I'm hopefully optimistic that things are going to get back to normal. Do you guys see yourself getting out on tours? You think you're going to hit the road at least regionally? What do you think's in the
We
works?
have one tour booked for April 20th to May 8th. So that's coming up. So whenever the people at home hear this, look for Hath on the road, April 20th to May 8th. But that's really just like the eastern half of the country. We don't have anything booked for the rest of the year because I think we're seeing what else is happening and what else is. We're waiting to hear back on a few things. I guess that's all I can say. But we think we're slowly getting back into it. But with us, we all have day jobs that pay our rent that we can't like just quit or like take a lot of time off of. So we got to be really strategic with our tours and stuff. So like we might do one long tour and then maybe a couple small runs here and there. So we're gonna see what we can do.
All right. Well, that's whatever you can do. You got to keep a roof over your head and keep on keeping on, because what else can we do except, this is how we do it. There's very few people getting rich in death metal, and
That's true.
Corpse Grinder and a few other people. And as those few people should, by the way, no haters here. It's just such a weird, it's this very weird time. There's a fertile time where there's a lot of like modern, cool, up and coming bands, and then your legendary bands are still making really great music. I saw Obituary not too long ago and they just killed it. I was like, I can't believe they're so fired up to play these 30-something-year-old songs, and they sound great today. And the band sounded great, and they were as pumped as the crowd. And I was like, this is insane, because you used to go see bands and it'd just be like, do the motions and, oh, thank you for the applause, I don't give a shit. And that they give us lots of shit, man. They really do, man.
I actually saw them the last time they came through Philly. I think it was for the Decibel Festival, maybe two or 3 years ago. I don't remember if it happened before COVID or like the year before, but they were one of the headliners, and man, the place blew up. The place, like, they fucking tore it down.
Right on, word. And Nile is on the road right now. They have a new record they're working on. So it's just like a very good time in the world for extreme music. If you like extreme music, this is a good time for you. I always like to wind these down. I want to give you back your night, but I always like to wind these down with kind of a wild card type of question. So the one I have picked for you is, we just spent this whole half hour talking about extreme brutal metal, but like, what's as a band that would surprise people that you like completely not heavy music?
Oh man, one of those surprise people. I'm pretty open online about the stuff I like, and like I post about Charlie XEX maybe like at least 2 or 3 times per week. So I don't think that one's surprising, but for people who don't follow me or anything, I think that would be the big one. Charlie XEX is just the best, the best. Hyper pop for life.
One of the more talented pop stars out there for sure. And I just we did our news show for the week, and I was like, Firefly Festival with Weezer, Green Day, and Dua Lipa, and Charlie XCX, and Halsey. And the Halsey record is fire, by the way. That she did.
The Halsey one slaps. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Hard, so heavy. I would love for her to go out. If she went out and was going to play that whole record, I know that she has like 1 billion hits. I go see her do that whole new record, and it's so alien to her other music. I almost feel like she kind of has to, but who knows? And I don't believe in guilty pleasures. I don't ask the question to like out you. See, he's not true. He's not true cult. I don't do that shit because I don't. Yeah. I think guilty pleasure is dumb. Like You should never feel guilty about what you like at all, even if it's something I don't like. But I like to know, because I think it's, you know, you don't only listen to this shit in our bedrooms like this all the time. We don't. We like fun stuff. You got to have fun, man. Like life is hard.
Like, share the stuff that you love. Like I'm the same way. I'm always posting about all the stuff that I like, because everybody knows, of course, you like this heavy band. Everybody knows that. You know, who cares?
Exactly. You know, I write this stuff. People know what I like and don't like, and who I don't, you know, who I doubt a dog mostly, or I'm on Twitter talking shit. So shit posted on Twitter a little bit. But yeah, man, it's great to see you again, man. I hope next time it's in person. And
Same
you know, it's been too long, but you know, I'm really pumped for you, and I'm really pleased for this album. And you know, everybody go out and get it. We're gonna link all the stuff in the description where people can go get it, and we'll pump it up. And I'm sure if you're gonna drop another video or something, we'll definitely share it out there. And just congratulations on everything, man. Keep your head up, stay safe on the road, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, man. Thanks for all the compliments, all that. You know, thanks for having me on here.
Yeah.
This has been great. I hope to see you soon too.
All right.
Everybody check out the album.
Yeah, word.